everyone. Welcome to yoga. Thanks for taking a little time during your day today to do some self-care, which is really important right now with all the uncertainty that's going on. So this will be a 75-minute Vinyasa yoga class. And of course, if anything doesn't feel right that we're doing in the class today, just feel free to skip or modify. Remember, you can always stop and pause the video or rewind it if you need to, but it's also good just to be able to let yourself enter the experience and just move through it, not get too hung up on it, remembering that the important thing right now is that you move a little bit, you breathe, you find some rest, find some concentration, and to that end, we'll conclude today with a little bit of pranayama and maybe some meditation. So let's begin by finding a comfortable upright seated position. And if you haven't already come into your position, take a moment to set yourself up. You may want to add some height underneath your hips in the form of a block or maybe a folded blanket or a pillow. Or if you prefer to sit in a chair for the first few minutes, that's quite all right too before you move to your mat. So once you find your comfortable seated position, close your eyes. And let's begin today by bringing your attention to the sounds that you're hearing through your ears. Beginning with what's probably the most obvious sound, the sound of my voice. But then reaching out with your listening faculty to notice what else you can hear. Maybe there are background noises in the building or house that you're in. Fans blowing. Maybe you can hear the sounds of other people in the house, or birds. Maybe the sound of an occasional truck or car passing by. Whatever you notice, just watch it arise and let the sound pass. Now start to turn your listening faculty inward. Just begin to listen to the sounds that you can hear inside your own body. At first you may not hear anything, but as you listen, you may be able to detect the subtle sounds of your breathing. Maybe you can hear some sounds in your mouth as your jaw settles down and your tongue releases down from the roof of your mouth. Maybe you can start to perceive some subtler sounds in your inner ear. Continue listening inward. Now bring your attention to your physical body. And begin to notice those places where your body is making contact with the floor, or with the mat, or the props that you might be sitting on. Really feel into those places. And now shifting to subtler physical sensations. Maybe you can begin to notice the feel of your clothes on your body. Maybe you can notice the temperature of the air on your skin. Now shifting your attention to your breath at the navel. Begin to observe your breathing. Noticing the way your belly rises each time you inhale and falls each time you exhale. For the moment, don't do anything to shape or control the breath. Just observe your breath as it rises and falls. And now shifting your attention to the breath at your nostrils. Notice the sensations generated by the breath as it enters and exits at the tip of your nose. And now shifting your attention to your mind. Begin to notice what thoughts are present. Watching the thoughts arise, linger, and then pass away. Doing your best not to invite any particular thoughts or push any particular thoughts away. And from here, see if you can take one more half step back with your awareness so that you can watch yourself watching your mind. So that you can watch the part of you that is watching your mind. Sometimes call this the witnessing perspective. And just see if you can relax back into that spaciousness, that seat from which you can observe everything that arises. And bringing your palms together in prayer position, Anjali Mudra at the level of your heart. Let's take a moment to set your intention or your sankalpa. Remember that sankalpa has two parts. The first part is what you need from today's practice to bring you into harmony, your short-term intention. And then the second part of your sankalpa involves your longer-term intention, your heart's desire. Where do you hope the practice will take you in the long run? And see if you can start to make a felt connection with that experience. I'm trusting that this practice will serve your highest intention. Let's seal that intention and set the context for what follows by chanting Hari Om 3 times. Inhale. release your hands down to your lap. We'll come forward off of any prop you might be sitting on to find your way into a neutral tabletop position. So situate your hands or your wrists below your shoulders. Bring your knees underneath your hips. Tops of the feet can be flat on the mat, or you can curl them underneath. And on your next exhalation, sink your hips back down for child's pose. Release your forehead down onto something. And take a few breaths here. And then on your next inhalation, let's rise all the way up to standing on your knees and reach your arms up overhead. Palms come to face one another. Drop your shoulders down away from the ears. Shake your head no a few times. See if you can get that feeling of lifting your chest more than your chin. Feeling your shoulders dropping down away from your ears as your pinkies roll in just slightly. On your exhalation, using the strength of your abdomen, let's lower back down into child's pose. And then on your next inhalation, rock forward into table and take a look forward toward the wall in front of you. Take a couple of breaths here. As you do, actively press down through your hands and your knees and start to drag the heels of your hands toward the front of your mat and your knees toward the back of the mat, as if you were creating more length in your spine by activating your arms and your legs. Then on your next exhalation, let's curl your toes under, press yourself back for downward facing dog. And once you're here, on your next exhalation, bend through your right knee and shift your hips over to the right. And then inhale back to center. And on your next exhalation, bend through your left knee and shift your hips over to the left. And keep moving this way with your own breath. Seeing if you can make the breath last a little bit longer than the movement. Once you've completed an equal number of twists in both directions, come back to your neutral downward facing dog. And on your next exhalation, bring your knees back down to the mat and sink yourself back down to child's pose. All right, we're going to move through a flow that's going to include a lot of these movements. So on your next inhalation, rise up to standing on the knees, reach for the ceiling. And then on your exhalation, return to child's pose. On your next inhalation, rock forward into a tabletop position and look forward toward the front of the room. And on your exhalation, curl your toes under and press yourself back to downward facing dog. Inhaling forward into table. Exhale, child's pose. Let's keep moving in this way with your own breath. I'll cue us through just in case you're still learning the movements. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale forward into table. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale back into table. Exhale, child's pose. Last round here. Inhale, rise up, reach up. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, table. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's take a few breaths here. Continue pressing down through the base knuckles of all four fingers and your thumb. Roll your eyes of your elbows toward the front of the room, the mat in front of you, short into the mat in front of you. And then keep pressing your thighs toward the wall behind you. At the bottom of your next exhalation, let's step your right foot forward inside of your right thumb. Find your active runner's lunge. And on your next exhalation, shift your hips back, straightening through the front leg any amount, and take a little flexion in the spine. And then inhaling forward. And let your back knee drop down a little bit and look up. And then exhaling back, shifting the hips and straightening through the front leg. Keep moving this way. And of course, if it's useful for you to add a little height underneath your hands in the form of blocks, you should go ahead and do so. The next time you come forward, drop your back knee down toward the floor. Drop the top of your back foot as well. And press down through your left hand. We'll take a twist to your right. So breathe in here. And then on your next exhalation, extend your right arm toward the front of the room and see if you can twist a little bit deeper as you breathe. On your next exhalation, bring your right hand down outside of your right foot. Curl your back toes in and press yourself back to downward facing dog. And then on your next exhalation, step your left foot inside of your left thumb. Adjust your feet to find your runner's lunge. And then on your exhalation, shift your hips back, straightening through the front leg any amount, taking a little flexion in the spine. And then on your inhalation, come forward. Let your back knee drop and lift the chest. You just continue moving this way. Exhaling back. Inhaling forward. And the next time you come forward, drop your back knee and the top of your back foot down to the mat. Ground down through your right hand. And then move into a simple twist on the other side. So left hand extends, right hand stays grounded. Continue breathing. Good. Then on your next exhalation, extend your left arm over your ear and see if you can twist a little deeper. Exhaling, let's bring your left hand back down outside of your left foot. Step back into plank, inhale your shoulders over your wrists. And then once you're here, we're going to shift in and out of Vashisthasana from side to side. We're just going to roll onto the sides of the feet. So separate your feet a little bit to create some space. And then on your next exhalation, shift your weight over to your right hand and roll onto the sides of your feet. We'll inhale, reach up for the ceiling. Take a couple of breaths here. Good, and then on your exhalation, return to your plank pose. And on your next inhalation, you come in one movement all the way onto your left hand, extending your right arm up toward the ceiling. All right, On your exhalation, go ahead and return to plank. And on your next inhalation, roll onto the right side. Remembering that you can drop your bottom knee down for support if you need. Moving with the breath. And once you've completed an equal number on both sides, inhale your shoulders over your wrists, and then on your exhalation, lower down with control, all the way down to your belly. And bring your forearms down onto the mat, elbows underneath your shoulders for Sphinx pose. So lifting up through the crown of your head. Let your shoulder blades drop down your back. And feel your ears moving away from your shoulders. And bending through your knees, let's make some big circles with your feet. And remember, if your mind is wandering, pick a spot on the floor in front of you and softly focus your gaze there. Alright, switching directions. Let's make some circles in the other direction. And bringing both feet down to the mat. Let's lower all the way down onto your belly. Slide your hands back so that they're underneath your shoulders. And then use your inhalation. Lift your head, lift your chest. Pick up your feet, your knees as well. And then from here, you can hover your hands, or you can weave your fingers together behind your back. Press your knuckles down toward your heels and root. Remember to try to keep your face relaxed and the back of your neck as long as the front of your neck. To your belly. Bring your palms down flat on the mat with the heels of your hands down by your low ribs. And on your next exhalation, press yourself back up through your neutral table to downward facing dog. At the bottom of your next exhalation, pause the breath and step or hop your feet to the front of your mat. Inhale, half lift. We'll take a few breaths here in your half lift. Extend the crown of your head toward the front of the room. Extend your tailbone toward the back of the room. And isometrically spin your heels toward the long edges of your mat. Continue breathing. And then bringing both arms out in a field goal formation. Lift the back of your hands and your elbows toward the ceiling. And see at the same time if you can slide your shoulder blades toward your back pocket and find more length in the back of your neck. Alright, exhaling, go ahead and release back into your forward fold. And then inhale, come all the way up to standing. Reach up for the ceiling. Exhale, Tadasana. We're going to move through a few rounds of Surya Namaskara A. I'll cue us through the first round, and then I'll let you go through a few on your own while I keep moving in case you need a reminder of the sequence. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold, hinge at the hips, bend your knees. Inhale, half lift, find your flat back. Exhale, step or hop back into plank and lower down. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take an inhalation here. And at the bottom of your exhalation, pause the breath and step or hop your feet to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Reach for the ceiling. Exhale, mountain pose. All right, let's keep moving like this on your own, with your own breath, at your own pace. The next time you find yourself in downward facing dog, let's all meet in this next downward facing dog. Remember, if at any time it's going to serve you better to come down onto your hands and knees and take a rest in your table, or maybe come down into child's pose, you should go ahead and do so, using your breath as a guide. Remembering that when the breath becomes ragged, it's a sign that we've gone past our edge, and that we should back off a little bit. Also remembering that anytime your mind starts to wander, bring your attention back to the body, back to the breath. And on your next inhalation, lift your right leg high, and then bend through the knee and stack your hips. Coming back to center. Extend through your right leg, squaring your hips to the floor. And on your exhalation, step your back foot up inside of your right thumb and use your inhalation to rise up for the high lunge. We'll take a side bend here, so grab for your left wrist. And when you're ready, come on over to your right. Continue breathing. Good, then inhaling back to center. Let's extend both arms, drop your shoulders, and on your exhalation, we'll take a twist to your right. So bring your left forearm across your thigh and press your palms together in prayer position. Or you can leave your left hand down on the floor and repeat the simple twist that we did at the beginning of class. Continue breathing. Press your palms together to help deepen the twist. Good. And then on your exhalation, let's release both hands down to the floor and step back into plank and move through your vinyasa, or press back to downward facing dog. On your next inhalation, lift your left leg high. Bend through the knee and stack your hips. Continue pressing down through both hands as you breathe. And coming back to center, level out the hips, extend your back leg. And on your exhalation, step your left foot through inside of your left thumb and rise up for the high lunge on the other side. Grabbing for the right wrist this time. Take a side bend to your left. Continue breathing. Good, and we're turning back to center. On your next exhalation, we're going to twist to your left, wrapping your right arm over your left thigh. Press your palms together. Strong through the back leg as you breathe. All right, on your exhalation, let's go ahead and bring both hands down to the mat. And then from here, step your front foot back. Inhale your shoulders over your wrist. And then on your exhalation, lower down. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And then on your exhalation, press yourself back into child's pose. Breathing here. And on your next inhalation, slide your torso forward with your nose and your chin and your chest low to the mat. Your elbows will splay out and then press yourself up into up dog. Let your shoulders drop down away from your ears. Lift the crown of your head and find your breath here. If you'd like to leave your knees grounded, you can do so. Or you can press to the tops of your feet and lift your knees. Let your pelvis be heavy. And roll your shoulder blades together behind your back. All right, on your next exhalation, just let your knees come down if they're not already there. And return to child's pose. We're going to move between these two shapes with the breath. So each time you inhale, slide your torso forward. Press yourself up into up dog. And then each time you exhale, return to child's pose. Just keep moving that way with your own breath. The next time you press back, let's go ahead and return to downward facing dog. At the bottom of your next exhalation, step your right foot forward and spin your left heel down to the mat. And then walk your hands inside of your right foot to face the long edge of the mat. And turn your right toes at a 45-degree angle. So you're facing the long edge of the mat now. And we're finding a static transverse lunge. And let's stay in this variation for now where we continue grounding down through the left foot. Continue breathing. Good, and then on your inhalation, let's come through the center, and on your next exhalation, turn your toes of your left foot out at a 45-degree angle. Walk your hands over to your left foot, and keep grounding down through the outer edge of your right foot. inhalation. Let's come back to center, and then let's start to move dynamically between those two shapes. So on your exhalation, right knee bends, shift your hips and your hands over, and then inhale back to center. And on your next exhalation, let's go ahead and shift your hips over to the left. Keep moving this way. And if you feel stable and you want to move without your hands, you can take this Ganesh Mudra, pull your hands against one another to help you generate Mula Bandha, that slight lift of your pelvic floor as you move and you breathe. Keep adjusting your feet as you need. And create a little more tension in your hands if you have them lifted as you move. The next time you come back to the right side, let's repeat the static lunge, and then this time go ahead and add any variation you like. So if you want to pick up your left toes of your left foot, you can go ahead. If you want to bring your hands into prayer position, go ahead. If you have the mind and you want to take it on this side, go ahead and do that. All right, then inhaling back through center, let's shift to the other side. And again, set yourself up with the variation that you practiced on the other side. All right, inhaling, let's come back to center. And then on your exhalation, just come to seated on your knees for a moment. So we're going to work a little bit on handstand right now. And we're going to use the wall. So if you're not near a wall, you can go ahead and move toward one. You can bring your yoga mat close to a clear space on your wall. Or you can find a patch of carpet where you have a clear space on the wall and just work there without your mat. So we'll start by coming into 90 degrees at the wall. And we'll take a moment just to set ourselves up. So bring the short end of your mat against the wall. And then sit against the wall with your legs extended, flex to your feet. And then using some kind of marker, maybe a yoga block, I'm using my inflatable seat here. Set it off the edge of your mat as a measuring stick to line up with your heels. So this is going to tell you about how long your legs are, about how far you want to put your hands away from the wall. So coming over onto your hands and knees, bring the heels of your hands level with your measuring stick. And then bring your hands down on the mat at about shoulder width apart. So your fingers are going to be dialed open just slightly. Press down through your hands, spreading your fingers, finding the ball mounts, or rather the base knuckles of all four fingers on your thumb. And then from here, go ahead and shift your shoulders over your wrists and start to walk your feet up the wall. And the idea here is you want to bring your feet about level with your hips. So I can't really see here. I think mine are a little high. I'm continuing with the ballet bar too. And once you're here, take 8 to 10 breaths. And maybe practice lifting one leg and then the other. And when you're ready to come down, come on down. Take a seat in Vajrasana, Thunderbolt pose, letting your hands rest comfortably on your lap. Maybe take a moment and close your eyes. Just feel the effects of going upside down into a working pose. When your breath returns to normal, you can go ahead and repeat 90 degrees at the wall, or if you like, you can move into handstand, either with the wall or in the middle of the room. So if you're working with the wall, give yourself a little bit of space, and then Start by finding your hands on the mat, remembering your hands are the base of the pose here. So you want to keep your hands about shoulder width apart. Your index fingers are going to be pointing toward the front of the room, or again, maybe dial open slightly. And then as you come into your downward facing dog or your modified downward facing dog, start by shifting your weight over your shoulders so that you feel some weight into your fingers. And then from here, walk your feet in, and when you kick up, concentrate on bringing your back foot up to help get your hips over your shoulders and your wrists. So I like to look right between my hands. Some people like to look forward, some people like to look back. I tend to look right down in the middle of the mat between my hands. Use an inhalation to help you come up. Find the wall, and then move away. It may take you a time or two. And once you're up on the wall, you practice balancing away from the wall. Keep breathing. When you're ready to come down. Or return to Vajrasana. Close your eyes. Watch your breathing. All right, once your breath has returned to normal, let's turn around, face away from the wall, and press yourself back in the downward facing dog. So from your downward facing dog, on your next inhalation, shift your shoulders over your wrists again. And on your exhalation, let's return down to your belly. Set yourself up for sphinxing. So elbows come down onto the mat. Palms are going to be flat on the mat with the floor in front of you. And breathe in here. And bring your left arm in, forearm in at a 45-degree angle. Bend through your right knee. Reach back with your right hand for the inside of your right foot. And then using the strength of your arm, start to draw your heel forward toward the outside of your hip. And then if it's available to you, to stack your elbow over your wrist. You can go ahead and spin your fingers so that they're pointed toward the front of your mouth. Releasing what you're doing with your foot. Let's shift to the other side. So your right forearm comes down to the mat at a 45-degree angle. Bend through your left knee. Reach back for the inside of your left foot with your left hand, and then draw your left heel forward toward the front of the room. And again, if you practice stacking the elbow over your wrist on the other side, you can give that a try here. Exhaling, releasing whatever you're doing with your hand. Let's come all the way down onto the mat. We're going to roll a little bit, so make sure that you have some room, about a foot on either side of your mat. You're going to bring your arms out in front of you, and then clasp your fingers to take Kali Mudra. From here, use your inhalation to lift your feet, lift your knees, pick up your head, your chest, and pick up your arms as well. On your next exhalation, we're going to roll to your right into Ardha Navasana, low boat. Breathe in here. On your next exhalation, we're going to roll all the way back across your mat to the other side to find Ardha Navasana again. We'll do one more on each side. Exhale, roll over back to the first side. And then on your exhalation, roll back to the second side. Exhaling back to center. Give it another lift. And then lower down. Make a pillow with your hands. Take this passive variation of Nakrasana. Just watch your breathing. Once your breathing slows down, start to observe what's happening in your mind. From here, we're going to set ourselves up for bow pose. So bring your hands down alongside your hips, bend through your knees, reach back for the outsides of your feet this time, grabbing for your ankles maybe, and then use the strength of your legs to press your feet up toward the ceiling. Use the strength of your arms to lift your head and your chest. Continue breathing. Lowering all the way back down onto your belly. Lower your feet. Bring your palms down flat on the mat with the heel of your hands down by your low ribs. And then press yourself back up to seated in Vajrasana. So if you migrated away from the wall, you're going to need to move back. We're going to do a few exercises at the wall, a few asanas at the wall. They're going to help us find our way into the front of the thigh and the hip flexor. So we'll start by finding a tabletop position. And then slide your right knee back so that your knee comes into the joint between the floor and the wall. You see the top of my right foot is against the wall. And this might be a lot for you, some of you here. If you feel okay, walk your hands back over toward the right side of your mat so that you can clear some space to step your left foot forward. So once your left foot is forward again, check out with how you're doing. And remember, on your back knee, if your knee is sensitive, you can double up your mat, or you can take a blanket and slide it underneath your knee. And I'm not resting on my kneecap. You can probably see in the video that the part of my knee that's touching the ground is actually above my kneecap. It's superior to my kneecap. So it's really the bottom of my thigh that's resting on the floor. That'll help to create less discomfort in your knee. All right. Then from here, let's go ahead and walk both hands up so that you can bring your hands to your thigh. Lift up through the crown of your head and keep pressing down through your hands. Breathing here. Good. All right, and then from here, if this is enough for you, stay here. If you want to walk your hands back toward the wall, you can bring your hands back toward the wall. Maybe shift your hips forward a little bit. Start to find your way into a back bend. Really emphasizing lifting your chest, squeezing your shoulder blades together and letting them slide down so that you can protect your neck, keeping it long. Not letting all of this happen in the neck. All right, wherever you're at, let's come forward. We'll bring both hands back down to the floor if you're not already there. Walk your hands forward to shift your thigh forward and your bottom away from the wall. And then go ahead and roll onto the knife edge of your left foot, opening up through the outer hip. And stay here and breathe. Or if you want to come down onto your forearms, you can lower down a little bit deeper toward the mat. All right, bringing the sole of your left foot back down onto the floor. Walk your hands back and slide the left foot back. Slide the right knee away from the wall. Take a moment, maybe in your tabletop or sit back in Vajrasana. Feel the difference in the two sides of the body. And then when you're ready to shift to the other side. Adjust the padding if you had it for your knee. Slide your left knee back this time. And again, try to get the part of your leg just above your knee to be the part that makes contact with the mat so that your kneecap is more pressed against the baseboard along the wall. Walking your hands back over to the left. Maybe stay here. Or maybe press down through your hands to bring your right foot forward at a 90-degree angle. Notice what's happening in your thigh, your hip flexor. And then if you feel like coming up, you can bring your hands to your thigh. Lift up through the crown of your head. Continue breathing. Good. And then if you walk your hands back over toward the wall on the other side, give it a try here. And again, lift the chest, press your hips forward, keep your neck long, continue breathing. And on your exhalation, let's bring both hands down to the mat. Shift your hips forward to move your bottom away from the wall, and then roll into the knife edge of your right foot this time. Letting your right knee open up over the right edge of the mat. And if you lower down onto your forearms on the other side, give it a try here. Bringing the sole of your right foot back down to the mat. Walk your hands back. Come back down the way that you came in. Let's walk forward on the mat. Find a tabletop position if you want to take a few rounds of cat-cow. You might feel good. Use your breath. Exhaling as you round the back. Inhaling as you arch the back. And then from here, let's come into a seated position and find your way onto your back. So we're going to do some back bending at the wall, some bridge variations at the wall. So it's up to you. Really, if you want to use the wall, you don't absolutely need it, of course, to work these bridge variations. It might be useful as we work through a few variations of Urdhva Dhanurasana, maybe some other things as well. All right, so we'll start by taking a normal bridge. So bend your knees, bring the soles of your feet down flat on the mat with your heels up close to the base of your bottom. And then you can grab for your ankles if you like, or you can bring your hands down flat on the mat to start. Wherever you're at, press down through your feet, lift your hips up off of the mat. And then from here, either stay here and breathe, or if you like to walk your hands toward one another, you can weave your fingers together. Maybe roll onto the outer edge of your shoulders, lifting your thoracic spine up off of the mat. So the only thing that's making contact with the floor are your feet, your arms, and the back of your head. Continue breathing. And then lower back down. And let your knees knock together. You can window wiper your knees side to side. Bring your arms out a comfortable distance away from your butt. And when you're ready to enter into your next back bend, you can either repeat bridge, or if you want to use the wall to help you with Urdhva Dhanurasana, you can begin as if you were coming into bridge. But once your hips are high, bring your arms back, your hands back about shoulder width apart, with your fingers pointing back toward your heels. And make sure that there's a comfortable distance between your hands, maybe taking them
about as wide as your mat, and maybe a little bit narrower, a little bit wider, depending on who you are. And keeping your hands, the heels of your hands grounded down on the mat, but keeping the bottom of your forearms or the bottom inside of your wrist pressed against the baseboard. On your next inhalation, press yourself up, and then use that action at the wall to help move your chest closer to the wall as you breathe. On your exhalation, lower down, come on back down. Watch your breathing. And then if you like, you can repeat bridge or repeat Urdhva Dhanurasana at the wall, or you can come away from the wall and just bring your hands down into the mat and see how it feels without the wall. Another option is to do another round of active bridge, or you can even pick up your hips, slide a yoga block underneath your hips, and just take a few moments in passive bridge on the block. If you feel sufficiently warmed up and you want to practice walking up and down the wall, make sure that you feel comfortable doing this, and if at any point feels like you're going too deep, just stop, come back up. But if you're working on dropping back with the use of the wall, bring your feet to about the middle of the mat. You're probably going to need more space than you think, but again, if you come back and it feels like you're too far or you're too close, you can adjust your stance. Just make sure that you do it before you get too deep into the posture. All right, so from here, with your feet about hip width apart or a little bit wider even maybe, bend through your knees, lift your chest, and start to reach up overhead until you find the wall. Once you have the wall, bend your knees more, and maybe rising up onto the ball mounts, and then walk your hands back, continue breathing. And maybe you can come all the way down to the floor. Take a few breaths in your Urdhva Dhanurasana. Before you come back up. Woo. All right, so once you're up, find your breath. And if you're working in a static variation of either back bend, go ahead and start to come back down. We'll find our way down onto our backs again. And bringing both palms down alongside your hips. Extend your feet up toward the ceiling. Lift your head, lift your chest, lift your hands as well. And then lower your right foot down so your right toe is level with your right eye. And cross your legs. Breathe in here. Raising your right leg back up, drop your left leg, switch across your legs. Good, then raising both legs up. You can keep your head and your shoulder blades lifted, or you can lower them down. Take the next 20 seconds or so, slowly lower your heels down toward the mat. Once your heels touch down, come down the rest of the way. Take a moment in your corpse pose. And then bending through your left knee. Bring the sole of your left foot down on the mat. Pick up your hips, shift them over to the left, and then use your right hand to gently guide your left knee over to the right. So breathe in here, and extend your left arm out to the side. Maybe turn your eye gaze towards your left hand. And if you feel like extending through the top leg, you can go ahead and extend your top leg long, maybe grabbing for the outer edge of your left foot with your right hand. Another option that might feel good is to bend through your right knee, grab for the inside of your right foot with your left hand. So wherever you're at, continue breathing. Releasing whatever bind you have. Come back to center. Shift your hips back to the middle of the mat. Extend your left leg long. Bend through your right knee. Shift your hips over to the right. Use your left hand just to guide your right knee over to the left. If you want to extend your right arm long, out to the side, you can go ahead. Maybe turning your eye gaze toward your right hand. And if you opted for the bind on the other side, go ahead and grab for the outer edge of your left foot as you extend the leg. And if you opted for the double bind, you can bend through your left knee, reach down, find the inside of your left foot with your right hand, and breathe. Let's go ahead and release whatever you're doing with your hands. We'll come back to your neutral bent knee supine position. Let your knees knock together for a moment and then check in to notice if there's anything that you have left to do in your body. And if there is, if you want to work on something while your body's warm or take a few minutes to practice a few more poses, go ahead and do so. The next pose that we're going to practice as a group is going to be Shavasana, your final rest. So if you're ready to move into corpse pose, you can go ahead. And now may be a good time to stop the video for a few minutes, maybe set a timer for 10 minutes if you want to stay down a little bit longer than we're going to stay down on the video, or you want to give yourself some more time to work on some extra postures before you transition into Shavasana. If you are transitioning right into your Shavasana, go ahead and spread yourself out. And then give your legs a little shake. Initiating the movement from your feet, but allowing your femurs to shift in your hip socket. And then just release the movement, let your legs flop open. And then pressing down through your heels, pick up your hips and then shift your tailbone down toward your heels and lower back down. Next, press down through your arms and the back of your head to lift your chest and slide your shoulder blades down toward your back pockets. And then turn your palms up towards the ceiling. Lastly, pick up your head and lower your head back down so that it's resting comfortably with some length in the back of your neck and some length in the front of your neck. We'll move through the 61-point relaxation technique. So begin by bringing your attention to the space between your eyebrows. And if it's difficult for you to feel into that space between your eyebrows, you can picture a small ball of white light just floating There's nothing you need to do as we move through these 61 points, except follow along with your attention. And of course, you can bring that ball of white light with you if that helps you to feel into your various parts of your body as I name. So from the space between your eyebrows, bring your attention to the pit of your throat. Next, right shoulder, right elbow, right wrist, tip of the right thumb, tip of the right index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger, right wrist, right elbow, right shoulder, the pit of the throat, left shoulder, left elbow, left wrist, tip of the left thumb, tip of the left index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger, left wrist, left elbow, left shoulder, pit of the throat, the center of the chest, right side of the chest, center of the chest, left side of the chest, center of the chest, the navel, the pubic bone, right hip, right knee, right ankle, tip of the right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, right ankle, right knee, right hip, the pubic bone, left hip, left knee, left ankle, tip of the left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, left ankle, left knee, left hip, the pubic bone, the navel, the center of the chest, the pit of the throat, the space between the eyebrows. Now see if you can feel your entire body at once as a unified field of shifting sensation. And then start to notice if you can perceive the boundary where your physical body stops and where the space around you begins. Allowing your attention to spread out into that space around your physical body, as if you were extending out with your attention into the room in all directions. Just letting that boundary spread out and your attention fill up all the space.
When you feel ready to exit your Shavasana, start by deepening your breathing, making your inhalations a little more full and your exhalations last a little longer. And when it comes time to move, start small with your fingers and your toes, and then gradually add back movements until you feel ready to roll to your side, and using the strength of your arms, press yourself back up to a comfortable seat, grabbing for a little height if you need under your hips or maybe some support for your knees. Once you find your comfortable seated position, shift forward slightly on your sits bones to find that slight anterior curve of your pelvis, that anterior tilt of your pelvis rather, so that you feel your hip pointers roll forward a little bit to help support the neutral curve in your low back. Release your low belly and letting your hands rest comfortably down on your lap. Close your eyes and let your tongue come down from the roof of your mouth so that you can press the tip of your tongue against the juncture where the back of your top teeth meet the roof of your mouth. This is called Jiva Mudra. So lightly pressing the tip of your tongue against the juncture between the back of your top teeth and the roof of your mouth. Now bringing your attention to your breath as it enters and exits at the tip of the nose. Begin to observe the breath for a few rounds. Just noticing any differences between the inhalation and the exhalation, and not doing anything at the moment to shape or manipulate the breath. Your next inhalation. Let's add a silent count to make the inhalations and the exhalations last the same amount of time. So if you inhale for a count of 6, exhale for a count of 6. If you inhale for a count of 9, exhale for a count of 9. And once you settle into a rhythmical pattern of samavriti, equal fluctuation breathing, just focus on the count as you breathe, feeling the breath as it enters and exits at the tip of the nose. Your next cycle of breathing, adjust the exhalation to make your inhalation last twice as long as your inhalation. So if you inhaled for a count of 5, make your exhalation last for a count of 10, as long as that doesn't create any strain in your body. If it does, just back off slightly. Lengthening your exhalation creates what's known as a Langana effect, or a reducing effect. It tends to help calm the mind. bottom of your next exhalation. Release the technique, release the count. Bringing your palms together in prayer position, Anjali Mudra, at the level of your heart. Let's take one final moment to enjoy the peace that you have created through your practice of yoga today. And we'll close by chanting Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Inhale. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace for ourselves, peace for our communities, peace for all beings everywhere. Thanks for sharing your practice, everyone, today. Namaste. Just want to add before I sign off that if you found the breathing useful, either the Samavriti pattern of breathing where you count the inhalations and the exhalations and make them the same length, or extending the exhalations to help calm the mind, remember that you can incorporate these practices into your daily life. They're very portable. You can do them. No one will ever know that you're doing them. Sometimes it's a nice quick way to bring yourself back into balance so that you can deal with what's arising moment by moment. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out through the studio or through the contact information on my YouTube page. And I hope everyone is hanging in there, and I will hopefully talk to you soon. Namaste.